Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley. My name is Reverend Kiya. My pronouns are she, they, and we're happy to see you this morning. We're going to start out using the teal hymnals. Our sister congregation in Huntsville is closing their doors, and they have gifted us with all the hymnals that we need. So now we have enough to use the teal colored ones, and we have extra other ones, and there are a lot of other good things happening. So if some of the people from Huntsville come to our church in the future, that's what's happening to them. Please make them welcome. And we're going to sing number 1024, "The Spirit Says Do." You got to do what the Spirit says do. You got to do what the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you got to do. You got to do what the Spirit says do. 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 You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to sing, oh Lord. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. Spirit says sing. Spirit says sing. Spirit says sing. Spirit says sing, Spirit says sing, Spirit says sing, dance. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you gotta dance, oh Lord. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. Spirit says dance. Spirit says dance, Spirit says dance, Spirit says dance, Spirit says dance, Spirit says dance. What's more time to do? Got to do what the Spirit says do. You got to do what the Spirit says do. What the Spirit says do, you got to do what you got to do when the Spirit says.
Good morning. Don't you love the rain? Better than snow, some people think. So, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley. If you prefer acronyms, we are UUCBV, or a combination, Brazos UU. My name is Carolyn Clark. I could not find my name tag. We had a big party here last night, a wedding, and there have been consequences. So, I'm anonymous, officially. We are a welcoming congregation, which means we celebrate and welcome all people of diverse sexual orientations and gender identities. We also strive to welcome people across diversities of race, age, ability, immigration status, and belief. We are also a congregation working for reproductive justice. So whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here.
Our call to worship this morning comes from the right the bishop, the Episcopal bishop at the cathedral, the National Cathedral, and she did the National Prayer Breakfast the other day, and speaking a beautiful sermon. And if you haven't had a chance to hear about it or see it, I highly encourage you to get the whole thing. So here's a quote from that sermon. What are the foundations of unity? Drawing from our sacred traditions and texts, let me suggest that there are at least three. The first foundation for unity is honoring the inherent dignity of every human being, which is, as all faiths represented here affirm, the birthright of all people as children of the one God. In public discourse, honoring each other's dignity means refusing to mock, discount, or demonize those with whom we differ. Choosing instead to respectfully debate across our differences, and whenever possible, to seek common ground. If common ground is not possible, dignity demands that we remain true to our convictions without contempt for those who hold convictions of their own. A second foundation for unity is honesty in both private conversation and public discourse. If we aren't willing to be honest, there is no use in praying for unity, because our actions work against the prayers themselves. We might, for a time, experience a false sense of unity among some, but not the sturdier, broader unity that we need to address the challenges we face. Now, to be fair, we don't always know where the truth lies, and there is a lot of working against speaking the truth, even when, and especially when, it costs us. A third foundation for unity is humility, which we all need because we are all valuable human beings. We make mistakes. We say and do things that we regret. We have our blind spots and biases, and we are perhaps the most dangerous to ourselves and others when we are persuaded without a doubt that we are absolutely right and someone else is absolutely wrong. Because then we are just a few steps away from labeling ourselves as the good people versus the bad people. The truth is that we are all people capable of both good and bad. Solzhenitsyn astutely observed that the line separating good and evil passes not through states, not between classes, not between political parties, but right through every human heart and through all human hearts. The more we realize this, the more room we have within ourselves for humility and openness to one another across our differences, because in fact we are more like one another than we realize, and we need each other. Unity is relatively easy to pray on occasions of solemnity. It is a lot harder to realize when we're dealing with real differences in the public arena. But without unity, we are building our nation's house on sand. With a commitment to unity that incorporates diversity and transcends disagreement, and in solid foundations of dignity, honesty, and humility that such unity requires, we can do our part in our time to help realize the ideals and the dream of America. Reverend Marianne A. Heartwood at the National Cathedral.
It's time to light our chalice, and we have a chalice lighter, Haley. And if you would please say the chalice lighting words with me now. We light the chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, as a beacon of hope for all who seek justice, dignity, and compassion, and in celebration of the life of truth and meaning we share together. And our affirmation: love
is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace speak the truth in love and to help one another. One of my favorite things about being a Unitarian Universalist is this particular ritual that we have right now. It's called Greet the Holy, and as Unitarian Universalists, we believe there's a spark of the divine in every being, especially you all, especially today. And this is your opportunity to say howdy to the other divine sparks, especially the ones you haven't met yet or you don't remember their names. In this little 5-minute ritual, it is perfectly alright to say, I'm sorry, your name is, okay? And I will let you know when it's over. Have at it.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Allison, and I'm the Director of Religious Education here at UUCBV. And I am so excited about this week. So, the service today is inspired in part by the tarot, and I have a story for you today that is inspired by the Strength card, and I think you'll be able to see this on the screen as well. So what is strength? Here we're not talking about muscles or might. It's not about outward control or power over others. It's the kind of strength that comes from within you. It is the power of true compassion, the kind of inner strength that we aspire to, that can be so hard said, "There is a special drink which I can make for you to give the boy. When the child drinks it, he will love you as his mother." "Please make this for me," the woman begged. The healer raised one finger and said, "It is a difficult medicine to make. It requires the whisper of a living lion." The woman felt her heart pound in her chest. What a fearful task. "I will get this whisper," she said. The next afternoon, she took some meat to a pond where lion tracks had been seen. She put the meat by the water and hid behind a tree to wait. Sure enough, at dusk, a lion came. She knew by the way he sniffed the air that he knew she was there, but he was satisfied with the meat and did not bother her. The next evening, she did the same thing. The lion sniffed the air, but did not approach her, for he was satisfied with her offering. The next evening, she did the same thing, but did not hide behind the tree. She crouched on the path where he could see her. She was very frightened when the lion looked at her, but she did not run away. Every day she did this, and every day she waited a little bit closer to where the lion ate. At last, after 2 months of this, she was placing the meat in front of the lion and waiting just a few feet away. The lion would eat the meat quickly, his great teeth gleaming in the sunset light, but the woman thought of the boy, and she did not run away. After 3 months, there came a night when the woman placed the meat on the ground and did not move. The lion approached the meat and sniffed before he started eating. As he lowered his head to the meat, the woman reached out and plucked one whisker from his cheek. The next morning, the woman hurried to the next village to give the wise healer the lion's whisker. The healer looked with astonishment at the whisker and then smiled. "You now have everything you need to win this boy's love." "The drink? You'll make the drink, right?" the woman asked. But the healer put a gentle hand on the woman's arm. "You don't need any magic drink. You have learned how to win the boy's love with patience and with courage and with a small step every day, and not with running away." And when the woman went home, she found that she could think of the boy as a lion and approach him with the same patience and respect. And eventually, this boy loved her as his own mother. So I hope for you this week that there's a loving, fierce, compassionate strength that fills you even when times feel really, really hard. But I hope you remember the lion's whisker, because I find it very inspiring to remember a step at a time, a day at a time, and eventually you will get the lion's whisker. So now is the time when all of the younger kiddos come with me to that for an RE class, or you can stay with your grown-ups, and the rest of you can see that with this little light of mine.
This little light, this little light, I will let it shine. This little light, I will let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. So, if you look in our new teal hymnals to number 10, 11, we're going to sing Return Again. And those of y'all who are choir practice know that you sing the first part twice, and then you sing the second part twice. And we will see if we all know it. And if we know it and we're feeling spicy, then we will do it in a round. Okay. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. So the sermon today is called Throw and Listen to the Spirit. And everybody has a different opinion about it. How many people grew up in a church where you were told that throw is something of the devil? Okay, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. How many of you, are barely acquainted with Christianity and do not have that association? Okay. So, good word today. We gather in the spirit of curiosity and openness, exploring a topic that invites us to connect with the sacred in unexpected ways. The intersection of throw and listen to the Spirit. The sacred ground we stand upon reminds us that the divine is not distant. The divine is all around us, but woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. Now, Christian perspectives are thrown very widely, depending on your theological interpretation, your denominational teachings, and your individual family beliefs. Here are some of the most common perspectives. So we're going to start out with people who think it's a Damon thing. Many Christians view throw as incompatible with their faith, often citing biblical warnings against divination, fortune-telling, or seeking knowledge through occult practices. Key verses include Deuteronomy 18:10-12, where in the Bible it says, "Let no one be found among you who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft, or anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord." That's what it says. And in Isaiah, in the Old Testament, 8:19, it says, "When someone tells you to consult mediums and spiritists, should not a people inquire of their God?" I don't think those two things are necessarily at odds. Perhaps you were raised to see throw and other non-Christian activities as of the devil or satanic. Now, personally, I reject the devil influence. I'm not saying I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe there is one. But it doesn't make any logical sense to me, so that's what you get when you come to a Unitarian church. It's a free pulpit. So that's what I'm going to tell you what I think about it. So I take a more symbolic, Jungian approach because I find the cards to be a very good tool for getting in touch with your subconscious, who often you are ignoring on a regular basis. And so to the point, I don't know, maybe that little small voice in your head, how many times have you ignored it? Okay, have you noticed that they get quieter the more you ignore them? So this is a way to get in touch with what's going on more our typical spiritual symbolic way. All right. So the language of symbols. Symbols have always been a bridge between the known and the unknown. In every tradition, we find tools for divine connection: prayer beads, sacred texts, mandalas, music. Tarot too can serve as one of these tools. Pages have been turned around. Okay. You can use it as a means of fortune telling or as a way to communicate with our own subconscious, as a mirror to the soul. A growing number of progressive Christians and unchurched people, which are about 60% of the United States, are a spiritual resource, reframing the use in a Christ-centered way or in a spirit-centered way. They may view the cards as symbols that can prompt prayer, introspection, or connection with God. You can look at the picture of strength and what does it remind you of? I find sometimes that the cards actually, I'll see, I know my cards really well. I've been using them for a long time. So I'll see something and I'll recognize somebody in the photo picture. Like, it will remind you of someone you know. That's information, right? It's like, why is that reminding me of something? And you don't have to use tarot. You could use I Ching. You could use, people play book Ching. Have you ever played book Ching? You can take the Bible or any other book and just have a question in your mind, open it up, point your finger, see what it says. And then you're going. That's basically the whole idea of how a lot of people use tarot. Now you can go and have a professional reading, people who are very good, just like you go to see a therapist, people who are very good at the patterns of people's humanity's life. So you can talk to people who are excellent at looking at your face, listening to your question, and making some good suggestions. And there are a lot of really good card readers that do that. But also, I have found the cards to be extraordinarily useful and helpful in a kind of spooky way. So, I don't want to say that it's not true, just because we have a lot of atheists here. But I think if I'm talking to you on a logical point of view, human beings' minds make patterns. We see patterns. Tarot is a collection of patterns that represent many aspects of the human story, depending on which deck you use and how you were taught. So you're going to find something interesting about it, even if it's that you go, oh, that is just not true. And then you go, why am I so stubborn about this? That's useful. So, where does tarot come from? Now, this is where it gets complicated. Y'all may have heard me say that I believe all religions are made up by people. Now, that may have something to do with it. I'm not saying that. But they're made up by people, and people are inherently flawed. They are. All these things we're going to talk about, all the tarot cards, there are stapler and truth, right? Truth being something that you can verify in a scientific kind of way. You can name the person that drew the cards. You can do that. So, how many people think tarot is ancient, comes from Egypt? Okay, you were right. It does not. So, the first cards appeared in northern Italy about 15th century. The oldest surviving deck is the Visconti Tarot, and they were lavishly hand-painted for very wealthy families. And they played a card game, a trump game. You know, a trump game like spades or bridge, like bridge-like games. And so people were just playing cards for the first 300 years of these cards. But people experimented, or they noticed patterns, or they were just playing around with it. And in the 18th century, things get a little bit more evolved. So most of the card games in the 15th century, they played a trick-taking game like spades called tarocchi, and in Italy, and they were not associated with divination or mysticism in any way. The church did not denounce them, other than they said, don't play cards. So it wasn't any bad than playing, go fish. The early decks consisted of 4 suits, and the suits were swords, cups, coins, and staves, and an additional set of 22 trump cards, which we now call the major arcana. In the late 18th century, French occultists like Antoine Court de London and Jean-Baptiste Atreya is another way to say his last name, emphasized spiritual and psychological themes. So, Court de Jeblin claimed that tarot contained ancient Egyptian wisdom. That's what I call folklore. That's when you want something to have ancient so it'll have more authority, so you just make something up. Y'all, in the late 1700s and the 1800s, early 1800s, that was the thing. Because all these nation states were happening, and they wanted to have this great history that wasn't connected to the Catholic Church anymore, or they wanted to connect themselves to their ancient Celtic roots, say, or their ancient whatever. And so that's when you start getting all these amazingly fake things, knockoffs. And they say, oh, I found this text, this manuscript, and this manuscript is from, 1,000 years ago, but it's not. Somebody just did a really good copy. And so you have to be very careful. So I want to tell you that use your skepticism when you are studying anything that is considered occult. Use your skepticism. Don't trust everything you read. I can suggest a lot of books for you, but don't take my word for it. Be skeptical. If it sounds a little weird or like, how did that happen and nobody heard about it or nobody wrote about it? Chances are somebody made it up. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So Australia published one of the first guides to using tarot for divination. So he created decks specifically for that purpose. And that's when you start moving into the 18th century. How many people have ever heard of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn? Aleister Crowley? Any Led Zeppelin fans in the room? Okay, so this is the period of time where people are getting interested in all these religions around the world. That's when you start having the Parliament of World Religions. Unitarians were very involved in this, where they actually went back to Japan and started teaching Japanese people about Buddhism. Is there a problem here? Okay. Well, in Britain, there was a very strong movement of people reinventing witchcraft, basically, and saying that they had found all this stuff. Usually they attribute it to Egypt. Aleister Crowley and other people in the Golden Dawn are responsible for what we consider tarot cards now. So some of it's fake lore, but they work. So I don't know. I'm just telling you, they work. So the most famous decks are the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, which was invented in 1909. It was illustrated by Pamela Coleman Smith, and that's the deck that I'm most familiar with. Maybe that's the one you all have. That is the traditional tarot deck. The other one is the Hermetic Golden Dawn Aleister Crowley one that he said came from a famous book from Egypt, because the Tarot deck. So anybody here have a tarot deck? Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, we're going to, after church today, after we all get your coffee and snacks, we're all going to share our decks and talk and share. So you'll get a chance to look at people's decks. So tarot evolved into a tool for introspection, self-discovery, and personal growth, moving beyond the earlier world as a game or a tool for divination. Each card in the tarot deck is rich with imagery, archetypes, and stories. The Fool stepping into the unknown invites us to consider our own leaps of faith. The Tower, with its dramatic collapse, ask us to reflect on the moments when life has demanded we rebuild from the ground up. Anybody had that experience? I used to get that card all the time. So these symbols resonate not because they predict the future, but because they reflect the universal human story. That's why it works, I think. I mean, if you're going from a completely scientific point of view, why not? Look for patterns. This is a way to get connected with your internal voice. Because often in our society, in Western culture, we are taught to live in our heads and not trust our instincts. And Jungian psychology really worked hard on archetypes and all this stuff. So there's plenty of very scientific stuff if you want to read about Tarot from a Jungian point of view, or if you're wanting more of that science stuff, look around, check your sources. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot of stuff out there that's just absolutely insanely. Okay. So, we might ask when you're looking at a card, there's many ways to do this. So we're not going to talk about that today because we're taking hours. But you can ask people how they do it. There's standard ways that people have done it since the 1800s or the 1900s, mostly since the 1900s. And people lay 3 cards. They pull 1 card. You have a question in your mind, you say it out loud, you flip the card. Or you go pay somebody $40 to do a reading for you. Or you can buy it at the church auction. And someone will read your cards for you. And you can do it with your friends. In the 80s, a lot of feminist groups got people to keep journals and write for themselves. And so one of the things that some of those journal guys suggested was that women use tarot or I Ching, which you use with pennies, and you get the numbers of the hexagram and you can look them up, you know what I'm talking about? That's another divination system that comes from Taoism, but you can use, there's many ways to do this, I'm just saying, besides only tarot. But tarot is a really excellent way, and that's where I heard the possibility that you could use the cards to be in touch with your subconscious and get to know yourself better. So that is my particular approach. Tarot reminds us of the power of mystery. Each card drawn is a reminder that life's path is not linear, but a dance of choices, challenges, and connections. The practice encourages us to hold our questions lightly, to remain open to what the Spirit might reveal. So instead of saying, I want this job, you might spend time writing down why you want that job. I want a job where I get to be, use all my skills. I get to hang out with a lot of people and build community. That's important to me. So if describing a job that ends up being ministry, I would have just said, please, spirits, this or something better. Instead of saying, I want to be this job. I want to be president of the United States, or I want to be, you see what I'm saying? Am I making any sense here? You can ask the cards, which direction should I go? And if the card says something you disagree with, you just found out how you actually feel. Where before you were just like, I don't know which way I want to go. But sometimes you pull the card and go, oh no, that's not what, oh no, that's information too. That's what I'm saying. Okay. In this way, tarot becomes less about divination and more about discernment. It invites us into the sacred act of asking questions. Where am I being called? What do I need to release? How can I live more fully into love? As a community, we are also invited to listen to the Spirit together. What do the symbols in our shared life tell us? What are we called to act for justice? How are we offering compassion, to extend grace? Like a tarot reading, our collective discernment requires us to pause, reflect, and listen with open hearts. So we're listening to the Spirit. Or the Spirit. I didn't put an S on the sign because I didn't want to get fired on. I invite you to imagine drawing a card not from a deck, but from the vast sacred story of your life. What symbol might the Spirit be offering you today? What invitation is present in this moment? May we each leave here with a deeper willingness to listen to ourselves, to one another, and to the Spirit that moves through all things. And may we walk with courage and curiosity and a reverence for the mystery that connects us all. Blessed be. You might want to come in. Yeah, I'll let you know. We're making notes as we go. Not really.
Once I gained 6 inches, so much easier. Now let an offering be taken to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope. For we are now the keepers of the dream. This church shares the proceeds of the offering plate donation every week to help support important nonprofit organizations with which we work. The 4 groups we voted to support with this year's donation are Brazos Valley Blessings, Brazos Interfaith Immigration Network, the Trans Joy Project, and Tiny Hope Village. We vote on this every day at our congregational meeting. Please be as generous as you can.
So we're going to sing number 1021, if you all want to help us. It's in the teal hymnal.
Time
concern that you would like to say a prayer for or have a moment of silence. And our Ken is going to play some nice music. But the thing is over there, if you know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, just watch everybody else. They're going to go through.
We give thanks for the gifts you have given and for those that we have received, and we give thanks for each other. May your generosity return to you tenfold. We have a few announcements. The Love and Joy rehearsal this week is Monday only, 6 to 7 p.m. We will not be meeting on Thursday. Reverend Kiya will be out of town. The latest music is up at Heartwood.com. Just click on the Love and Joy page and you'll find it. Our very popular gentle movement yoga and meditation group now meets on the first and third Saturdays at 9 a.m. Please see Liz and Stephanie, who are waiting, if you have any questions. The first Fiber Arts workshop of the year is on Saturday, February 1st at 10:30 a.m. Come learn how to mend, knitting, or crochet, sew on buttons, and make holes in your clothes go away, and other things. Childcare is available. If you have any questions, please ask Sarah. Sarah, where are you? Wave your hand. There we are. Want to join the church's Discord group and don't know how? Or if you're like me, only heard of Discord last week, you might want to come to a workshop that Evan will be leading to help anyone with questions next Sunday, February 2nd, after coffee hour. And there's Evan back there, our chief wizard. Very good. Book group begins February 9th after church and will continue on the second Sundays through May. We are reading Braided Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kabir. And it's now time to extinguish our chalice. So as Reverend Kiya does that for us, please join me in our words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. This we carry in our hearts until we gather together again.
Please sing the benediction with me. I believe the words are on the screen. Remember the way of the wind and breathe and blow. Remember the way of the fire and sparkle and glitter and glow. Remember the way of the water and ebb and flow. Remember the way of the earth and grow. Go in peace.